Music producers is Curtis King of SlapExperts.com, and apparently you want to know a little something about some drops, some transitions, because you see me in some of these beat battles doing some wild stuff. I'm about to demystify this for you right now in a second after this intro. See you in a sec. All right, music producers, what you're gonna have to do, you're gonna have to get rid of your pattern blocks, your legacy blocks. If you're still using them, it's time to get rid of them. I had to put my big boy pants on and it was tight. I'm just playing. I had to put them on and really understand if I'm going to have the kind of drops and the kind of control that it requires over drops and transitions, I gotta get rid of the legacy blocks because I can only snip so much. So if you're looking at this and this feels overwhelming, leave. I'm just playing. Shout out to Summer Savita. Just have some patience, because when you're able to see all your sounds, you're able to kind of pinpoint where you want to put drops. And after a while, this becomes such muscle memory that it's just like, bro, I got this. It's easy. So let me put these headphones on and let me kind of break down. I mean, drops and transitions are pretty self-explanatory, but let me break this down using this beat. I'm going to tell you kind of sort of my process when I go through it. Most of it is just kind of feeling through it. Stop talking, Curtis, and get to it. All right, I'm going to play this beat. Stop yelling. All right, cool. We get to that. Y'all probably already heard this already. So the drops that you're hearing are in these places where you start to see some of the silence. And what I really think about when I'm thinking about drops is, what do I want to accentuate? Sometimes I want to draw the listener's attention to a sound that gets overcrowded by all the other sounds. Sometimes it's a snare. Sometimes it's an abrupt stop. The first question I ask, and I wrote some notes here, is what type of transition and drop do I want to do? Now, the transition doesn't come until later on. We'll talk about that in a second. But in terms of a drop, I love drops that just take all the energy and all of the momentum that is building out of nowhere and leave you like, yo, wait a minute, how does that sound even fit in the scope of things? Like I had a beat where I added a cash register out of nowhere. Sometimes I just do that. This is where my creativity runs the most free, and this is why I love doing beat battle beats, because of this very reason. That being said, where I'm putting these drops at are typically either at the beginning of the loops or at the end of the loops. I don't typically put them too much in the middle unless, like I said, once again, it is pushing into some kind of momentum of like the snare. Like there's gotta be a purpose for the drops. You don't wanna just put a mute out of nowhere. You just got like, murder. It's just kind of purposeless. So when I'm making these drops, I'm thinking to myself, I'm playing with the music, I'm listening to it. I'm like, yo, what would really jack up the mind of the listener? So let's play this beat real quick. And I'm gonna tell you why I chose this place. I chose that place because you're just getting to feel the beat and you expect all these sounds to continue to keep going. You've probably heard music enough times where you're like, fam, I already know what this is gonna do. Then it stops at a place where some people won't even recognize that drop because it's not as dramatic as, say, this drop. At this point, it's pure energy. I'm trying to look for ways that can really accentuate what the lead or the focus of this beat is, which is the vocal. All the attention is around this vocal and those guitar licks. So if that's the purpose, if that's what everybody's paying attention to, I'm trying to basically do what I can to accentuate best parts of it. So that that's something I want to accentuate. One more time. Because by this time, they've heard the sample enough times that they know what the word is saying if I start to manipulate it. If I would have brought this chop in at the very beginning, maybe it'd sound dope. Maybe it'd be confusing, like, yo, what's the purpose? What are you doing, Curtis? So that's the first thing. Second thing, what type of drop do you want to have? I love doing hard mutes on these. And something that's really important for me to utilize, especially when you get away from legacy blocks, is being able to go here and highlight any of these sounds, press Control-Alt-C, and then basically consolidate these sounds one by one. Basically, when you're consolidating these down, what happens is that I now have a waveform. right? In the same way that I possibly have a loop, in the same way that I possibly have a one shot that I have straight here on the playlist, most of my drops, all of my drops, I'm not even gonna cap to you, most of my drops happen in the playlist. So it's really a matter of taking away sounds, consolidating sounds that, you can't really manipulate the same way, because I had that, I think, on FL Slicer. So in here, if you look at this, if I just mute this, so that's all my sample chops together. The dope thing about that is that if I wanted to add like a hard mute on multiple sounds, now that I have this in a waveform, I won't have like any effects that I added to this vocal, like reverb that is dragging along. Because sometimes when people are doing drops, they keep their effects on or they don't automate them off, and it just takes away from like the cinematic nature of that pure silence. There is so much more dramatic effect you add to a beat by pure silence. Like silence sometimes is just as important as the music. So as I'm playing this, let's simulate as if I wanted to give another hard mute. So let me see. Maybe I want to add it, and I can tell by where the cuts are at in this beat. Maybe I want to add it, let's see, possibly right here. Let's see. So what I could do is, if I want to accentuate the kick here, which you can see the kick is right along this line, then basically I'll cut this sound out. Right? So that's for a split second. Let's drag it even more and see what that does. Little things like that just changes a person's perception of the music. And once again, there are other sounds in here, which leads to the next question that I ask when I'm doing drops is, do I have high quality sounds for inspiration? And the answer is always yes. Obviously, I'm a splice user, and so I'm always dragging in toms, and I'm always dragging in drum loops and things that really help me fast forward the process as I'm staying in the flow state. I don't care about none of them damn producer rules out there. Oh, that's lazy, bro. Stop using loops, bro. What are you doing, bro? You're not a real producer. I guess I'm not then. This is fun though. And so I keep my flow process by not caring about these purist rules and chopping wherever it's necessary. Also, by using sounds that were specifically made by sound designers, right? Shout out to the sound designers making sounds like this. Right? Shout out to the sound designers making sounds like this from the homie Oh Gosh. Like, these are sound effects that if you don't use them, why aren't you using them? So many of y'all are out here trying to play fair in a game where nobody else is playing fair. Use these loops. They're here for you to make your life easier. And so you gotta have high quality inspiration. That's what I do on my drops. My drops are really about utilizing, it's funny because most of them are like EDM sounds. They're not even like traditional hip hop sounds, which is crazy, but most of them are EDM sounds because they're super cinematic and use like a lot of reverb, and I don't know, they just sound like out of a damn Star Wars movie, and so I enjoy using those, especially people like Cashmere, who's super dope on Splice, and the homie Decap obviously is all throughout these drums. So, that being said, let's keep it going. Now, can I personally make a drop like this? Yes, but you don't get no rewards for saying you did it by yourself, except for other producers. Stop producing for other producers, first of all. So that is that. High quality sounds. What's the purpose of my drop? Where do I want to put the transition, which I talked about, or the drop? And then also what type of drop or transition. So speaking of transition, let's wrap this video up speaking on the transition. This very soulful drop was something I did very consciously because I said to myself, okay, this beat is a hard beat. We've heard a hard beat like this with this sample specifically from Shine Bad Boys. We heard this already. Where you gonna take it that is unexpected? And so this, I was like, yo, I've never made a beat where I could take him to church. Why? Because I don't know a lick about music theory. But I do have a beautiful VST called Easy Keys. And with Easy Keys, I use one of these interpretations, or these, what do they call it? Damn things. Where is it at? Basically, you go to here to the browser. They have these MIDI libraries, these add-on packs where you could play certain chords, right? I'm trying to figure out what chords if I even have them in here. You can play certain chords. Like say if I play 5 chords, it will then reinterpret those chords. And what it did for me was this. Look, would you listen to this? You think I could play? I ain't play that. I didn't play that. No, I didn't. But I took the chord progressions, which I did create, and I let them reinterpret it from an actual piano player. And then I said, ooh, okay, I'm gonna take a gospel, straight 4/4 time signature, go to chorus, and then I'm gonna take one of these to interpret it. And basically that's what I did. And I dragged the MIDI over here straight into the actual piano roll. And then I changed some things around, made some chords a little bit longer, shifted some around. I mean, you still gotta kind of mess around with it. But at the end of the day, look, I don't play the keys. And so this makes it so much easier. But the transition for me was all about take it to church. Well, what kind of elements incorporates taking it to church? Well, one of those is obviously this piano. Another one is this clap loop that I have. It's a beautiful clap loop. I got that off of Splice as well. What is this? So basically, I went nuts with the vocal sample, and I had it run through, it might have been either the Love filter or, no, it was Endless Smile. Check it out. Play it with the sample, so. Something else to pay attention to when it comes to drops and transitions, please load up your sounds on sounds like this, your cymbal crash, also your impact. I feel like a lot of hip hop producers sleep on the impact sound effect because it's so EDM. It's just like, what you about to do? Forward to the floor, Curtis? Listen to this. If you listen to that, you immediately start thinking EDM. I get it. But in the scope of this beat, it just makes it feel so cinematic. And there's no denying this is still a hip hop beat. So utilize those sounds. I mean, the worst you can do is drop them into your FL Studio. And if they don't sound good, take your mouse. Well, no, go here to the pencil tool. And then you right click. And that shit gets deleted. It's amazing. I'm going to bring it back though. Why am I whispering? I don't know. Okay, another element that I added here that I thought was really important for this transition and this drop, because this is a bit of a drop too, because it comes out of here. Something else that was important, I believe this is the, yes, this is important. At this point, you're starting to add elements that create a scene. And it was important for me, whenever this decides to load, to use this Omnisphere choir worship sound effect preset. Amen. Amen. Deacon Howard, Deacon King in the building. Okay, so that's what I did. I let that fly out. Boom. So we have all of this stuff together. Once again, another EDM sound effect that most producers in hip hop or trap are not trying to use. That was actually from a VST or a library that I use from Contact that I believe is right here. Okay, I took it out. It's called Hit. There you go. Rise and Hit. Boom. Another cymbal. This is the cinematic nature in it. I'm not sitting here with Steven Spielberg and Dr. Dre saying, hey, could y'all add other elements? No, these sound designers have made my life so much easier. And so this is what we did. At this point, we've already committed to the transition, and this is where the fun comes in, but that pretty much wraps it up. So music producers, I hope that helped you out when it comes to transitions and drops within your beat. I try to demystify this to the point where you don't overthink it. This is all about energy. As you're making a beat, you know when something starts to become a little bit too loopy, a little bit too monotonous. So find something, especially if you got loops or drum breaks or even, tom rolls, whatever you can find, utilize it. Put it inside your DAW in your playlist. If it doesn't work, delete it. Everything keeps on going. So if you want to get more tips that help demystify this process, because some of this stuff is still a little bit advanced in the automation, you might want to sign up to my Advanced FL Studio course that I have with the homie Larry O at advancedflstudio.com. Sign up. We got a payment plan in case you want to get down and get busy with that. Either way, we want to help you as soon as possible if that's what you want to do. Otherwise, continue to subscribe to the channel. Tell a friend. Press like on that button. That go like that. You will not be full of life until you decide to light to its fullest. Once again, it's Curtis King of slapexperts.com. Have a good one. Look up, Nazi. Say cheese.